You wanna know how bad this show is for overusing this shit? Here's a scene of misunderstandings. For 11 minutes. I wish I was fucking joking. You wanna know what 11 minutes of the same irritating shit does to a man? It breaks him. Nope, I'm done. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I can't fucking do this. I want to start off this video with a simple question. What is it that makes a romance anime good? Is it watching the main couple grow closer together? All the heartwarming moments that are certified to melt your heart into uwu goo? Or is it watching the entire cast have their own stories to tell and watching their development play out? There are so many great anime out there that are able to take the simple theme of romance and expand upon the genre to make it interesting and worth the ride. But what happens when the use of romance is done so poorly that it makes even school days look presentable? Well, enter Gamers, a slice-of-life rom-com that aired in the summer of 2017. We follow the life of high school student Keita Amano, your typical nerdy anime dude that initially cannot hold a conversation to save his life. One day, while at his local game store, he bumps into the school's most popular student, Karen Tando. From the outside, she's a classy rich girl who has all the simps in the world. Bro, what the fuck? But inside, she's the ultimate simp for our main man, Amano. However, Tando has a secret side to her that she keeps from everyone at her school. She's actually the president of the school's game club. What a nerd. After finding out that Amano has the same love for gaming as much as she does, she's got a whole ass arcade cabinet in her room. That's pretty lit. Tando makes it her goal to get Amano to join the gaming club, and the plot expands from there. Following from Tando and Amano, we have 3 other characters that join the fray. Tasuku Uehara, the nerd turned Chad who put the world of gaming behind him to pursue a normal life. Aguri Sakurano, the classic daddy girl who's dating Tasuku. And finally, Chiaki Hoshinomori, a socially awkward game developer who shares the same love for gaming as Amano. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like the most innocent and typical slice of life show. How could it possibly be bad in the romance department? But before we go deep into the negative side of things, I do want to give praise where it's due. Even though I said this makes School Days romantic progression look good, come on guys, nothing's worse than School Days. The characters, when they're not forced into a romantic setting, are an absolute joy to watch. I was genuinely surprised at how well this cast of characters bounce off one another. It makes for some heartwarming and genuinely funny moments. I love you the best. Amano and Tasuku are 2 dudes that at first glance you wouldn't think would work out together. Tasuku is God, I have no other way to explain this, a normie. I lost half my lifespan saying that. And Amano is the school's biggest nerd. But once they get to know each other after bonding at the arcade about games, Tasuku's love for gaming reignites and they become super tight bros.
Video games are the greatest.
There were plenty of moments where I was actually laughing out loud at the stuff they were talking about. And this doesn't happen often with me in anime.
It's like when you fall in love, there's no logic.
Big talk from a guy who's never gotten to first base.
The pair I adored the most, however, was Aguri and Amano. If it was 2 characters that I absolutely didn't think would get along, it was these 2. Aguri is the most textbook definition of that annoying popular girl that a lot of romance anime throw at you. And we all know how these characters fare against dudes like Amano.
Ew, it's the guy who hangs on my boyfriend.
Originally teaming up as partners to put a stop to the misunderstandings between Tasuku and Chiaki, they slowly grow closer together as they're able to relate to one another regarding their issues. In the past, they both had issues expressing themselves and fitting in with the crowd. Even though these 2 are polar opposites, they both support each other in everything that they're working towards, and that's something I always love to see between characters.
Let's give it our all, both of us! Right!
Breaking away from the opposites attract pairs, and we have Amano and Chiaki. These 2 bounce off one another because they're both identical twins when it comes to their love for gaming. What makes the relationship fun to watch, however, is that they actually don't get along too well.
Chiaki says moe characters are a cancer on the genre!
You sad little man.
One thing we find out is that Chiaki is a game developer, and who's her biggest fan? Yup, you guessed it, this guy. Their constant arguments and bickering are so ironic when you find this out, and my god is it hilarious.
You uptight seaweed head!
Oh my god, I almost spat out my peach iced tea. But despite their differences, they're still great friends who dungeon together and can rely on one another. One of my favorite scenes between them was this one here, where Chiaki needs advice on being a game developer. When Chiaki asks for the advice, Amino talks about how much he looks up to her as a developer and how much fun he has with her games.
Make whatever game you want to make, but it's gonna reflect what's inside of you no matter what.
Are you guys seeing a pattern here? The characters and gamers worked out amazingly as friends. And with that, let's move on to the negatives. In the first episode, when Amino finally checks out what the gaming club is all about, we're introduced to 3 side characters. Nino Oiso, a laid-back girl who's insanely good at fighting games, Gakto Kase, a dedicated player of FPS games, and finally, Aichi Misumi, a pretty shy guy who's lost all his memories and the only thing he remembers from his past is his love for puzzle games. When you look at these guys, it's obvious that they're side characters and I understand that. However, I genuinely believe if the show stuck to its roots and focused on the joys of gaming and all the friends you can make from it, these guys would have gotten so much development. Gakto and Nino are shown to be top players in both fighting and FPS games, while Amino wasn't familiar with either of them. I feel as though there could have been episodes dedicated to the gang getting into these 2 genres and diving into why both Nino and Gakto got so good at these games specifically. And finally, while Aichi only played puzzle games, I would have loved to get more time with this guy. We could have had the gang befriending him and trying to help him recover his memories. Instead, it's just never brought up again, which is seriously a shame. Did you guys notice that in the positives I talked about every character except Tendo? Yeah, well there's a reason for that. After Amino and Tasku get into an argument regarding Tendo's gaming club, she enters yandere levels of love for the guy and then basically becomes a joke character for the rest of the show.
Bro, she's crazy. Holy shit!
I mean, for the first couple of episodes, her character wasn't anything special, but to then just make her the butt of jokes for the rest of the series, come on guys. Even after Amino and Tendo start dating, nothing ever improves between their dynamic. 9 times out of 10, this is how a scene between the 2 of them goes. Tendo runs into Amino, he acts tense, she feels defeated and runs away crying, rinse and repeat. The development from Tendo seeing Amino as someone she respects to then literally would destroy the entire world for him is something that I understand is there for some over-the-top comedy segments, but when this is literally the only situation that's ever shown, it gets stale real quick. Pacing is a word that simply doesn't exist in gamers. These characters fall in love and change their minds about each other within the blink of an eye. It's pretty much like this.
I love you, Tasku.
I kinda like you too?
So, you and Augury are dating, huh?
Yeah, but you're cute though.
Nani? Man, I love Tasku so much, Uku.
Yeah, but isn't he flirting with other girls?
What? I can't believe he would betray me like this. Ah!
I'm sorry, babe. I didn't mean it.
That's okay, babe. I didn't even notice anything.
Hey, bro. Gaming club sucks.
You take that back, you fucking normie freak! Oh my god, I want his babies.
And now for the biggest, most irritating, absolutely dog shit negative in this show. If you've ever watched a romance anime, you've seen the good old misunderstanding happen, right? If you're unfamiliar with how a scenario like this goes, here's an example. These 2 characters are taking a long time to get back from buying drinks. One drops the cola, meaning, you know, the cola goes Coca-Cola, espuma. They get back and explain the situation in a really explicit way. Dude who's into the girl freaks out. After a minute of misunderstanding the situation, the dude finally gets it. That's the joke. See, these types of things either last a couple seconds, or at most like an episode of the show is really struggling for some sort of conflict. However, in gamers... This entire fucking show is just misunderstandings. Every single conflict is a misunderstanding that gets dragged on for the whole series. You want to know how bad this show is for overusing this shit? Here's a scene of misunderstandings for 11 minutes. I wish I was fucking joking. You want to know what 11 minutes of the same irritating shit does to a man? It breaks him. Nope, I'm done. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I can't fucking do this. I've been watching anime for a good 9 years now, and never in my life have I come across a show so irritating to watch than Gamers. The first main understanding that is brought to light is that Tasku is cheating on Augury with Chiaki. Now, think to yourself for a second. What would you do if you were in Aguri's situation? Would you A, confront Tasco and ask him what's going on between them? B, avoid him like the plague, cry every single day and do nothing about it? C, fight the bitch? And D, I don't know, die I guess. Well, if you picked A, then congratulations! You have common sense! However, for Aguri over here, she picked B for some reason, even though they're dating. It's established at the start of the show that Aguri and Tasco have been dating for quite some time, and Aguri talks about how much she means to him.
She had her eye on me since middle school?
As long as we're together, I'm the happiest girl in the whole world.
But all of that goes out the window when there's some sort of slight issue at hand. She'd literally just sit here and wallow in suffering. It's something that just made no sense to me, and it drags on for way too long. Amino tries to help out Aguri by giving her the support that Tasco should be giving her, so they can figure out what's going on between Chiaki and Tasco. But in favor, Tasco then thinks that Aguri is dating Amino, and then Aguri sees Tasco talking to Tando and now believes he's cheating on her with 2 girls. Then Amino sees this and thinks that Tando hates him, and Tando thinks Amino hates her. You get the picture. Misunderstandings lead to even more misunderstandings, which causes more unneeded conflict. Characters get suspicious of one another and for some reason don't have the smart idea to just, you know, talk to one another. The one that stuck out to me like a sore thumb was even after Amino and Tendo start dating, you get hit with this.
Even though Tendo said yes to me? What if it was all just a ruse to get closer with Uehara?
I have never watched a show that was so desperate to be a romance when it absolutely didn't need to be. This show would have worked so much better as just a comfy slice of life where these guys got together as friends and bonded over video games. The first couple of episodes introduced side characters and interesting backgrounds to each of the cast that you would think they'd expand upon. Instead, what we got was a nonsensical, misunderstanding-driven romance with unnatural characters, questionable decision-making, and irritating conflicts that overstay their welcome. Would I recommend Gamers to anyone? Honestly, no. There's so much better romance anime out there in general, and if you're still wanting a romance that revolves around gaming, I highly recommend you check out bottom-tier character Tomazaki-kun. This show is not only providing everything that I wanted from this show, but it's also keeping the romance intact. Well guys, that's it for my rant on the anime Gamers. If you enjoyed the video, go on and give it a like, and if you've seen the anime too, please tell me what you think of it down in the comments below. Until next time, kings and queens, I'll catch you later.
I can never keep my pants on right, got my Gucci belt